Welcome to Switch Comics. My name is Marco, and today we're talking about Spec. Now, if you haven't watched, there was a video pretty recently on Winking's channel where me, him, and Average Will talked about how kind of the Spec game is changing. And I feel like it was a good starter piece. I did mention before, though, that there's still more to go into it. So today we're going to kind of go over a little bit more of my feelings, some stuff I didn't get a chance to talk about in that video in particular. Quickly before we do that, tonight is the last, tonight I'll be pulling for our 700 subscriber giveaway. If you haven't watched the 800 subscriber giveaway video, I talk about how there were some issues with the 700 subscriber. So we're still giving away these two comics. They still technically haven't been claimed yet. And so all you have to do, there's going to be a link in the description for my buddy Wahoo Comics. Go to it'll be a specific video link. Go check out his channel. Leave a comment on there. # Switch. Make sure you spell it right. # Switch, and then leave a comment talking about, cause it's a awesome haul video. He got some super amazing books. So leave a comment saying what your favorite book was, something like that. Talk about his haul. Definitely check out that video and check out his channel. Sub him up. He's so close. I think at the time of recording, he's 9 subscribers away from 200 subscribers. Let's get him there. I'd love to see that happen. Not a prerequisite for the giveaway, but I'd love to see some community love being spread. So, and also with that, I'm going to quickly again show off our 800 subscriber giveaway comics. I am doing a Spider-Man theme. That is the facsimile. Don't go crazy. But anyway, we got some cool Spider-Man comics nonetheless given away at 800 subscribers. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Spec. So, it's something I've been putting a lot of thought into here lately, and how there's a lot of elements of the Spec market that are changing. And because to me, Spec is kind of like a separate hobby. Like, I'm a collector, but I'm also a specker. And not everybody's both. Some people might just be a collector. Some people might just be a specker, And it's a different category, I guess. Because me personally, I like to gamble. I like to roll dice. I like to, place bets on things and stuff like that. I like to gamble. And for me, specking is a bit of informed gambling. It's not just random odds, but, and again, I say it's nerd stocks, which stocks are a bit of a gamble. Even though you might know what you're doing a little bit, you don't know the future, you know what I mean? And it's kind of the same thing with comics. I consider myself to be pretty good at spec, but I don't have 100% track record, and no one does. No matter how good you are, you're going to be wrong about some things. Either something you're like, oh, that's going to be nothing, and end up blowing up, or something that you invested and were really positive it was going to explode, and it never did. So kind of some of the thoughts that I wanted to touch on today is how I feel like it's really hard to get into the cheap spec, which I really enjoyed throwing just a couple dollars down, whatever, $1 to $5 type books. Typically used to be you could buy these books, and it was kind of a long stretch of a big gamble. Again, throwing in those kind of terms, is it wasn't any kind of guaranteed thing. It was just a far maybe. And again, I don't mind throwing a small amount of money at a low odds gamble, because that's the thing. Like, if I'm gonna gamble on Miles Morales, yeah, that's a big money gamble. It's got good odds, a lot of things stacked in its favor. But the one that really, I think, sparked this whole thing in my brain and really stuck there was when I looked at Key Collector one day, in which, granted, Key Collector, I don't agree with everything they say, and I think many times they've been wrong. I know many times they've been wrong on certain things. And granted, I feel like they also do kind of just, I don't feel like they necessarily try to push any certain comics or anything, but sometimes it might just say like something is going up in value and this is the reason why, and I don't agree with that. But the one comic that or set of comics, I guess, that threw me off was when the Wrecking Crew started shooting up in price, and I was like, oh, maybe there's been some rumors that they're going to pop up in this movie or that movie, or some casting or this or that or whatever. All those type of things have legitimate reasons to make comics go up in value. And when I looked at it, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was like it was kind of a lengthy one, and it said something to the sentiment of, we have all these different villains popping up here and there, and oh no, it was talking about I remember now. It was talking about how there's we have the Avengers team, so sooner or later there's going to be a villains team, and the Wrecking Crew might just fit the bill. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe, but that's not a good reason for a book to be significantly spiking in value. To me, that's still a long shot, unless. Now, granted, if you want to be like, you know what, I think they're gonna show up in the next Thor movie because they're, classic Thor villains, and that's maybe that's your reason for specking on the book. That's a more significant reason, I'd say. Now, granted, again, I'd still say a big gamble, but rather than just, well, it's about time we have a villains team. It's like, okay, that's first of all an opinion. A second of all, there's other or not Thor teams. There's other villain teams. I mean, I'd much more expect Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts before a Wrecking Crew. And which I'm fairly heavily invested in Thunderbolts. I bought myself a really clean copy recently, and again, I know it's a gamble, but it's one that I feel has a better odds. I feel like there's certain elements in play to substantiate investing in that book. And I don't know, that one just threw me for a loop, and I really started looking, and there's so many. I feel like there's so many books now that are just minor keys, or just, like I said, just huge long shots that are expensive books. And when I say expensive books, I mean relatively expensive. So if it's a book that, and I know everyone wants to get books for cheaper, and I get that mindset, but if I think it's a book that really should, like I said, be a $5 book, and now you can't get one for less than 25 because maybe possibly someday, somehow, some way, it might be in a movie. I'm like, no, that's crazy. First of all, it may never. You're basing this on nothing, and I don't know. There's certain, like I said, there's certain odds you have to factor into thing, and when you're just have zero basis for a reason to spec a book, then, and now granted, there's lots of variables that go into the price of a book, and I get that, print runs and errors and this and that and whatever else, I don't age and all kinds of stuff that goes into it. It's a cover, and I understand all that. But I'm talking about books that have been previously established as $1 books or $5 books or whatever, $10 books, whatever it is. I'm just throwing some random low end numbers out there. And again, there'd be some that's like, yeah, okay. And there's been some that I've been wrong on too. Like I bought a couple copies of first Arnim Zola Captain America something, I forget the number. And I bought that before we got the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, because I thought there was, would be a shot that he might pop up, and I was wrong. But again, I didn't have that much invested into them, so even though I technically still lost out on that gamble, it was a low stakes gamble, and I didn't lose that much. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna go into a low stakes gamble scenario with high stakes invested. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, granted, sometimes there are high stakes gambles as well. For example, I lost out a little bit on my 361. I didn't necessarily buy it at peak, but it's definitely gone under when I bought it. And that's one that I think a lot of people probably wouldn't have guessed that it would have shot down as bad as it did. And it was one of those things, the moment that trailer dropped and no one liked the way it looked, it's been tanking ever since. It's stabilized since then. And it's still an iconic book. Carnage, I'm not worried about it, I'm rambling about this other thing. But I'm just trying to explain, there's all these different types of gambles you make when you're speccing on a book. And I just feel like it's kind of since there's so many players now in the game. That's what it is. Everybody's playing the game, and there's so many players that everyone's just pricing things up way too much. And this also, I kind of people have been talking. I hear a lot of people lately, but also for a while, being like, "Oh, all the comics are going down. All the comics are going down. Comics are going down. Comics are going up." It just depends. It's a flavor of the week type thing. People go off of one thing and onto another. Are we at the crazy peak that we had like a year ago where things were really crazy? No, but just because some prices have gone down doesn't mean like things are crashing. I say that all the time. I work at a comic shop. I sell comics. I see comics all the time. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe it's gone this high. Don't just because, yes, again, and some are going down and some are going up. Like it's just the way it is. And if you're only looking at the ones going down, then yeah, you're gonna be like everything's losing value. No, it's not. But anyway, there was one little like glimmer of hope. That kind of, because I was kind of getting a little pessimistic in the sense that the cheap game was kind of, it felt ruined to me. It kind of felt dead. Because again, like there's a lot of books that I wouldn't mind being like, oh yeah, maybe, possibly, whatever. Like I said, I'll throw $5 on that. No biggie. If I lose it, not a big deal. But it's a very different thing when it's like, you want to throw $30 on that, and it's like, not really. I don't feel that confident about it. $5, yeah, sure, why not? But 30 for a stretch, no, I'm good. I like, the more I'm paying, the better my odds better be. You know what I mean? But or at least, and I will say with the low end gambles, a lot of the times you do have crazy returns when you do get it right. For a good example would have been West Coast Avengers 45. Used to be a dollar bin book, and then it shot up, I think, to like $100 book. I think it's gone down since then, but anybody that was maybe specking on White Vision, y'all did good. Congratulations. But they still took a big risk, I think. That one, not so much. I mean, it was somewhat substantiated because we saw the Vision go gray and everything. Now, we didn't necessarily know he was coming back, but that one, like I said, we'll say a mid-tier kind of gamble. But I don't know exactly when that book started going up. I know it definitely shot up a lot during WandaVision. I don't remember if Infinity War did anything to it or not, though. It's been too long. But anyway, the one book that kind of caught me by surprise lately was Moon Knight #3, the first appearance of Arthur Harrow. And then that one, we got the Moon Knight trailer, the subtitles revealed that was Arthur Harrow. This is a guy that's been in one comic book. He was a one and done. I don't think he's ever come back, or, he was just defeated and they moved on. Time forgot him, And I think it'd still be so funny if, this is a little side thing, but I think it'd be funny if it ended up not being Arthur Harrow, if like somehow they put the wrong thing just to screw with people. I don't know. You never know with Marvel, they're not always necessarily telling the truth with you. But that being said, that went again from maybe $1, $5 book to I think it went to like $100 book pretty much overnight. Pretty crazy. But that was exciting for me. Now, granted, I didn't own any copies. Not a book that I ever thought to spec on. Now, granted, my brother and I have been collecting Moon Knight issues, but I guess it's just not one that we ran across. So I don't feel good because I won. I felt good because it was like, okay, there are books still out there that nobody's looking at. And now, granted, maybe you were, and don't be in the comment, I was looking at, but like I said, I mean, it was a nothing book. It wasn't worth nothing. Nobody was specking on that book at all. And then, bam, there it was, the new big book everybody was talking about, and it's inspired me a little bit, but also I feel just kind of shows how how much further we have to dig into this I feel like the spec game has gotten a lot harder. I still would say that in some aspects it's not as good as it used to be, for the fact that some of these risks I think are too big. You're putting too much money on the table for way crazy of odds, you know, like I don't know. I don't like doing long shot odds if it's you know, a high dollar amount. It just doesn't make any sense. I feel like I'm repeating myself though, and I'm rambling as I always do. But I think this will be enough for today. I think there's still probably more talks about how spec can change. Like I said, definitely go check out Wing Geek's video, because we more so talked about new comics and how, and I really do want to talk even more about new comics and how when new keys come out, the game has changed entirely. It's not like it used to be at all, and I'm kind of waiting for even more things to happen to get a little bit more feedback and see how people react with certain comics and how certain things will catch people off guard, and then other things we'll order way too much of and it won't ever be worth anything, like Berserker, for example. So many people, you know, order just ridiculous amounts of that book. And even though it's Keanu Reeves and it's supposed to get a TV show and a movie and this and that or whatever, you know, you can't sell that book for $2. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. Definitely, like I said, if you want a chance to win these, I will be picking a winner tonight. Okay, tonight. So go on, it'll be late. It'll actually probably, you know, be like 1 a.m. or whatever. But go on Wahoo's channel. The link is in the description for the particular haul video. Awesome video. He's got some other cool videos. He's got another cool haul in since then. Maybe 2 hauls in since then. I can't remember. Anyway, hashtag switch. Say something, you know, about his comics. What's your favorite one that you got? And then the other comics I'll be giving away at 800, which we're blasting through. I think we're like 730 something right now. But anyway, so went with a Spider-Man theme. That is the facsimile. Got it. We'll always let people know that is the facsimile. But I'd love to know what you all think about the topic. Maybe you're not a specker. Like I said, I do think it is kind of a different hobby. And I do also at some point want to make a video kind of talking about the different type of collectors out there. Because I get questions all the time from people new to the hobby. Whether it's here on YouTube or at my comic shop. And, you know, they're asking, like, how do I collect comics? And it's like, well, that's up to you, and depending on what type of collector you want to be. So I think I want to do a video on that. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, let me know. I'd love to hear back from you all. Thank you all so much, as always, for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ha 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 ha!